when I was given the chance to try a Waffle House, I took that chance, and I regretted it for about 3 hours after. But you know, like crack and meth, I feel that Waffle House is something that every red-blooded American should try at least once. Just kidding. Waffle House shouldn't be tried by anyone. Nothing good can come of it. Anyway, I don't have Waffle Houses in my area. I live in New Hampshire. We don't have a single Waffle House in this entire state. And I don't think we have one in Vermont or Massachusetts. At least I've never seen one. And but what we do have are Waffle House's evil cousins, Denny's and IHOP. Ugh. But anyway, if you really want great breakfast, go to a small mom-and-pop diner. You can't go wrong. Avoid chains. They suck. Waffle House sucks. And I'm not even kidding you. For about 3 hours, maybe even 4, I was not doing very well. Actually, my entire family was sick. Just don't do it. And don't try crack or meth either. But Waffle House is probably the worst of the 3, so there you go. I also want to raise awareness of a condition that is affecting culinary professionals worldwide: KitchenAids. KitchenAids is a serious problem, and yeah. Strangest thing happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I was helping somebody move a couch, just a couch, and this person had a KitchenAid stand mixer sitting right next to it. She was moving out of her house, and she was like running out of places to put things, and she's like, "Hey, you want that mixer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take that. No problem. I'll get it out. I'll make room for it in my house. Sure, no problem." And I'm like, "You want money for it?" And she's like, No, just take it." I'm like, "Really? That's like a $400 mixer." And she's like, "No, I don't need it, so take it." I'm like, okay. That's actually how I got my PlayStation 3 that I don't use. But here it is. This is a KitchenAid Artisan Series mixer. This is the one step above the one you buy at Walmart. This one has the 325 watt motor. I think the Walmart one is a 275. It also includes a 5-quart bowl rather than a 4.3, a splash guard, and that's about it as far as differences. As far as I know, I think they all come with the wire whisk attachment, the bread dough hook, and the paddle mixer attachment. This one was actually made in 2009, and according to the previous owner, it was hardly ever used. It was used very, very seldomly. I have cleaned it up already. I actually cleaned the mixing bowl with Brasso. It was in pretty nasty shape. It was like it had been washed in a dishwasher, as a matter of fact. Washing stainless steel in a dishwasher will usually cause spotting and stains, but they come right off with Brasso. It also had a lot of oil that had leaked out from when I transported it in my car. I had it on its side. I couldn't transport it in any other way. As it turns out, the grease in the gearbox up here tends to separate, and the oil drips into this. This is actually a drip pan, if you will. And the oil will drip into here, and if it's left on its side for a period of time, that remaining oil will eventually leak out. So it's not really urgent that it be repacked with grease, but it can be done using food-grade grease. KitchenAid actually sells a stand mixer grease, and so does Mobile, believe it or not, that is designed for servicing these mixers. I'm probably not going to bother with that because I know there's plenty of grease in there. I just thought I'd mention it for the sake of your benefit, because I care. One of the great things about this mixer is that it's actually made in the U.S., and they're still, to this day, manufactured in, I believe, Minnesota. And, I'm probably completely wrong, actually. I think the address is on here somewhere. I don't know. Either way. Made in the U.S., doesn't matter. Of foreign and domestic parts. So there are parts that were made in China, but it is all assembled and tested in the United States. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, here it is. St. Joseph, Michigan, USA. It was close. Minnesota, Michigan, same thing. Just kidding. Okay. So this is not one of the higher end models, which actually has a bowl lifter. The bowl can be lifted up and down. And I swear to God, my aunt had one of these that, or has probably still, but she got it in 2001, and it had a lever on the side for raising the bowl up and down. But I could be remembering it incorrectly. The bowl mixer or the bowl lifters are usually mounted right here on the stand. The other thing that's great about this appliance is it'll last for generations and generations and generations without any maintenance. And the great thing about that is if maintenance is needed, parts are available. Supplies are available. It's not like this one here. This is a KitchenAid hand mixer that I use once a year when I make pies for Thanksgiving. It's my thing. I just like doing it. And this is the mixer that I bought. This is a pretty good quality KitchenAid hand mixer. It cost me, it's probably one of the more expensive models when I bought it. I wanted to buy something that would last, so this is what I got. And so far it's pretty decent. But if anything goes wrong with this mixer, I'm pretty much shit out of luck. I can't just go out and buy parts for it. This is a, essentially disposable. Once it's worn out, you replace it with a new mixer. When this one wears out, you fix it. That's the key difference. And not many other companies are making consumer-grade mixers that have that kind of longevity. This is not, technically this is not a commercial mixer. They actually have special versions of these designed for commercial kitchens, but yeah, for consumer mixers, or any appliance for that matter, there just normally isn't that kind of serviceability. But it polishes up real nice. I put a coat of wax on this after cleaning it thoroughly, and it shined up really well. There's only one blemish on this entire mixer, and it's right here. There's a little bit of scuffing, and I'm not sure what caused it. Not really showing up on the camera though. A little bit of scuffing here on the base. Here's the thing, if I wanted to replace the entire base, it's like 30, 40 bucks. No, I think it's like 40 bucks for a new base, if I ever had to replace it. Or I could repaint it. I don't care, it was free. It's a $400 mixer, and I got it for free. So, not gonna look a gift mixer towards the auxiliary and output shaft. You ever heard the term looking a gift horse towards the mouth? There's actually I'll take a detour and explain that one. So it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's something you hear probably every day, and you probably are wondering, what the hell does it mean? Well, back in the 19th century, when people had horses as primary transportation, and somebody gave you a horse and you looked at its teeth, it was considered rude. Why? Because as horses age, their teeth, I think their teeth get bigger or smaller or some shit. Anyway, you look at their teeth and you can determine a horse's age by its teeth. So if you're looking, it's like, I think a more modern example is somebody gives you the keys to a car, any car, and the first thing you do is go online and look up what the Blue Book value is of that car. Think of it that way. Where were we? Oh yeah, that. So this mixer is probably one of the best appliances you can own today. It is finely crafted of all metal construction. The base is all cast. I don't know if it's alloy or aluminum. I think it's alloy. It can't be pure aluminum. I'm pretty sure it's just a mixture of things. An amalgam, if you will. But the mixer is entirely metal. This actually, the mixer body itself, it's like built like a battleship. I mean, it is built forever, for generations. Hypothetically, if I had kids, God forbid, and my kids had kids, and my kids' kids had kids, had kids, this mixer could be handed down from generation to generation until people stop eating food, until people start eating cubes of nutrition, like dog food, and they don't have to cook anymore. That's how long this sucker will last. And to prove a point, it has replaceable brushes. Check this out. I'm going to find a screwdriver and I'll take that brush cover off and you'll see what I mean. Only appliances that are built to last, only electric motors that are built to last have replaceable brushes. You just unscrew this cap here. This is made out of plastic, I think. Pull this cap off. And boom. Brushes. Look at that. And look at how long they are. Wow. It's just crazy. But these are replaceable. And from the looks of it, they'll probably last longer than I'll be alive. I hope I live to be at least 65. Well, 70 or more. I don't know. Nobody really knows how long they're going to live. But if I live to be 80, these will still be good. But you want to make sure they go back in the right way, because if you put them in wrong, it's bad. Let's see. Looks like they can go in any way. Looks to me like the motor shaft is spinning this way. So the dish section should go in like that. So yeah, I probably should have paid more attention there. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, let's go right back in there. Actually, I'm going to take the other one out and see what the orientation is, and then we'll. Quick side note: when removing brushes from an electric motor, it is important to know when you're putting them back in. If you're not replacing them and you put them back in again, you really want them in the same orientation they were in when they came out. Just quick side note thing. You should probably know that. If you don't do it right, if you get them in upside down or in the wrong orientation, it can cause excessive armature wear, just so you know. And of course, excessive brush dust buildup in the motor. So, now that I think we got that squared away, I want to talk a little bit about the speed regulator in this appliance. I don't work on a lot of electric motors. I don't work on a lot of motors, and I have never seen a speed control quite like this one. It is very interesting in how it works, how it regulates the motor speed. And in fact, it was so interesting to me that I felt I needed to make a video of this. So we're going to take the back cover off the motor. I'm going to show you what that looks like in there, and then we'll explain how it works. It's pretty cool. It works a lot like the old regulators on early stationary gasoline engines, or on steam engines. Very similar in concept, and it's pretty cool. Now, I also want to point out the back cover on this mixer is also metal. There is no plastic on this mixer where there doesn't have to be. It's metal where it can be. Does that make sense? And by the way, if you want to know how old your mixer is, just look at the back cover. And of course, you want to make sure that the orientation is correct. This is pointed up. This mixer was manufactured in 2009, according to that date stamp. This date, all right, so let's talk about this stamp here. This tells you when the mold was made. Generally, that's generally what it's for. When the mold that made this piece was made. And molds are only usable so many times. Sometimes they're investment castings, meaning that the mold has to be broken for each piece. But this is more than likely not an investment casting. This is probably a multi-use mold that can be used, probably 50, 60 times and then discarded, and then make a new one from the master. And every time they do that, they change the date on this little, we'll call it a clock. I'm sure there's a term for this. I call it a date stamp, a clock, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I should ask my dad. He actually makes plastic parts. They do the same thing on plastic and metal parts. So anyway, that's one way to find out how old an object is. At least anything that's been casted. That's one way to find out. So, all right. So on this mixer, we have one basic control. We have the speed control. Now the speed controller. I'm going to get some light here. The speed controller actually moves a contact plate the back side of the motor, right at the end of the armature shaft. This is your highest speed here, and we're going down to the lowest speed and finally off. What that's actually doing is it's changing the position of this contact at the very end of the armature shaft. You can see that little brass nub right there, and it actually contacts. Let's see if I can get it to zoom in here. You'll see a small brass contact straight in the middle of the viewfinder, which should be in the middle of your screen. I'm going to slowly zoom in on it. That, lost it. That thing right there. You see it? So, the further away this plate is, the slower the motor will run. I'm sorry, the other way around. The further away this plate is, the faster the motor has to spin in order to get these little weights. You can actually see them right there. There's a weight there and there's one on the other side. Those weights swing out in response to motor speed. So the faster it is, the further out those weights are swinging. And what that's doing is it is actually, the further out they are, as they swing out, they're moving that little brass nub at the end of the shaft inward, which will disconnect the contact between the shaft and the speed regulator plate here. So what ends up happening is, as the motor is speeding up, the governor is trying to get the motor to stop spinning, right, by swinging those weights out through centrifugal force and breaking the contact, which causes the motor to momentarily slow down, which causes the weights to swing inward. In response to that, it now has a contact between the armature shaft and the speed control plate. And this happens rapidly. It's a rapid cycling switch. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, so fast that the motor seamlessly maintains whatever speed you have it set to. It's best if explained while it's in motion. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fire this motor up. We're going to put it in the off position for safety purposes. We're going to plug it in, and we're going to start it off on its lowest speed, which is stir. What you can't see, and you never will, is the action of that governor constantly making and breaking the electrical connection between the speed plate and the motor armature. But as I move it to its highest setting slowly, you'll see those weights change position. Now watch what happens when I rapidly decelerate the mixer. Let's try that again. What you didn't see, or what maybe you did see, was that as the mixer is rapidly decelerating, the contact remains broken for almost a second while it spins down and finally reaches its targeted speed, which is number 1, or stir. As we raise the mixer speed to its highest setting rapidly, I'll show you what happens then. Try that again. Okay. Here we go. Ready, set. What you didn't see, or maybe you did, is that for a moment of time, the motor is actually powered continuously until it reaches the desired speed of 10. So when you're accelerating it from 0 to 10, it actually powers the motor constantly until it reaches that desired speed. I'm not explaining this well. I really am not. I mean, it's hard to get a good visual with the camera that I have. I've actually tried making this video a couple of different times, but I haven't had much luck. Really, just watch a steam engine operate and look at the governor, those balls that are rotating around a shaft. I know how kinky that sounds, but it really isn't. What you're done, the only difference is, instead of opening and closing a valve, this is rapidly cycling the power being applied to the motor. Now, one thing that may have been added to this mixer throughout its production, and by the way, these have been in production since the 1950s in the form that you see, and basically the same shape and same concept. One thing that's been added is, I believe, a noise suppressor. Because the motor is rapidly cycling on and off, it's actually generating a lot of electrical noise. And there's a circuit up here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a circuit board right there with a bunch of components. We got a couple of resistors, some capacitors. I see, yeah, just resistors and 2 capacitors on there. I am fairly certain that that is actually a noise suppressor, or a line noise suppressor. What it's doing is it's filtering out the rapid cycling, the on-off of the AC current, and reducing the amount of noise that's transmitted back to the household electrical circuit. And that is necessary because in today's world of electronic devices and wireless this and that, all of that electrical noise can create interference, and that is something that the FCC probably required for this mixer to remain in production. In contrast, our hand mixer uses a simple wiper switch, which actually has a set of contacts from one end to the other. There's actually, in this one, there's 5 positions, and each contact has a varying level of resistance when compared to its full-on, full-bore speed, which is no resistance. So as you're going down from 5 to 1, you're increasing the amount of resistance, which reduces the amount of power going to the motor. It's pretty self-explanatory. The difference between these two and why they've gone with this more elaborate design is more than likely to allow the mixer to maintain speed and respond instantly to changing viscosities in the fluids that's in the mixer bowl itself. For example, let's say you're mixing pancake mix, and you have, the mix is very thick. When the mix is very thick, this centrifugally operated speed controller will actually allow the motor to remain fully powered for a longer period of time. So that even though it's set to a low speed, it's going to allow that motor to receive full power as needed. Whereas on this mixer, it's going to cause the beaters to slow down. Whereas this one will maintain that speed regardless of viscosity, and up to a certain point. If you try mixing cement with it, well, you figure it out. If you're exceeding the capabilities of the motor, it's the only time it's going to slow down, is if you are exceeding the capabilities of the motor's output. 325 watt motor, that's a lot of freaking power. This one here, what's it rated for? 6 amps, 120 volts AC. Actually, it doesn't say. It doesn't say. Well, anyway, we know it's no 325 watts. Watts is what, volts times amps? Anyway, so my point is, until you reach the limit of that motor's output power, the mixer will remain at a steady speed. Now, let's say you've got that thick pancake mix going, and then you're like, gee, that's just too thick. You add water to it. Rather than all of a sudden speeding up, the mixer will respond, or at least the centrifugal speed controller will respond instantaneously in real time, and it will actually prevent the mixer from overspeeding. It's ingenious, and it's dead simple. It's a little more complex than your average speed coil, or even the resistance packs or resistor packs, or even a any resistor controlled motor controller, resistance motor controller. I'm starting to to lose my train of thought there. So yes, even though I can't really show it in operation, at least I can explain the concept behind it. So yeah, so that's how it really works, and it's ingenious. I mean, it's so simple, it's genius. So no matter what speed you're on, as long as you're not exceeding the output capabilities of the actual motor itself, it will not slow down or speed up in changes or in response to changes in viscosity. It's cool. While we have the unit apart, or open partially, I want to take a look at by the way, this is all live right now, so we're not going to touch anything, but I want to take a look at that that fan in the back of the motor itself, and take a look at how high quality that thing is. It's made out of stamped steel. No plastic. Stamped freaking steel. You just don't see that these days. My hand mixer, even though it's a pretty good quality one, it has a plastic impeller for cooling the motor. This one uses metal. Steel, in fact. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, we've got our noise suppressor up there. We've got our centrifugal speed controller down here. And it is completely adjustable, or can be calibrated as needed. I don't suggest the average homeowner do that, but if you know what you're doing, you can adjust the speed settings to, if they ever go out of alignment or out of whack. This is something that you typically do at the factory once and don't touch it again, but if you're one of those guys who likes to, or gals, who likes to hack around with your appliances, you can actually change it. I don't think you'll get any more speed out of it, but let's say speed number 1 is too slow. You can speed it up. Now this motor does sound a bit noisy, but I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a characteristic of how it's designed. It makes a little more noise than I thought it would. None of it's brush noise. I can hear brush noise, but when you put it under a load, see, watch how it doesn't slow down. Actually putting pressure on it, and it maintains, even if I try to speed it up, it maintains whatever speed I set it to. There you have it. There actually are some great videos on how to service the mixer, as if you're in an appliance shop. You can disassemble the entire motor and repack the gearbox. It's just an I believe it's a planetary gear set inside here, and you can repack it with food grade grease. Mobile actually sells it in tubes. It's cheaper than buying the KitchenAid stuff, and I believe it's the same stuff. It actually comes in large tubs. I found this stuff in smaller quantities on eBay. The tubs are like $40-50 for a tub of grease, and the average person isn't going to need that much. They sell it in such large quantities because it's meant for commercial kitchen mixers, which require regular service. And someone who services those is going to need to buy larger quantities of grease. So this is it's a cool appliance, and I haven't used it yet for anything. I don't do a lot of cooking or baking, but one of the things I've always wanted to do was make my own pretzels, just because it sounds like something I'd want to do. I happen to like pretzels, and I've never made them. So with a mixer like this, because making pretzels requires a lot of mixing, and the dough is very thick, so having something like this would make the job very doable in my kitchen. So and maybe I might even start making my own breads, who knows. I'll definitely be using this during my Thanksgiving pie cook-off that I do. I make basically pumpkin pies and nothing else. I make a lot of them, though. I make like 6 or 7 pies, however many I feel like doing. And it's just a good way to, get into the holiday spirit and make the house smell like food every once in a while, Make it smell like a kitchen. And just a little fun thing I like to do. Making waffles. Now that I have my 36 Samson waffle iron, I should probably start making more waffles, just for fun. So until then, thanks for watching, and keep on keeping on, and definitely educate yourself on KitchenAids. It's a terrible thing. It's sweeping the community, and it's just bad.